Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's edition of Daily Stand-Up. Without any further ado, let's get started. It's often very strange when I receive an email like this one. So I got an email from someone asking me to help them find a good template for a definition of done. Now, I've received this message hundreds of times, and I always go through and try to find something, or I try to take one from a previous company and pull it together. But I recently stumbled upon an article by Simon from scrum.org, and this was a good article. It was a powerful article. So in his article, he says, in a recent class, a new Scrum Master asked me for a simple example of a definition of done. It's very seldom that I'll read directly from an article, but this time I'm going to. So I want to make sure I give him his full credit. He says they also wanted to understand how it differed from a concept of acceptance criteria, which is often a question that I get. This post captures the answers to both of those. I hope it will help you simplify this concept. First, some explanations for what these terms mean. Okay, so let's see if we agree. Here we go. So acceptance criteria are the commonly used complementary practice in Scrum where it's a set of statements that describe conditions that must work satisfactorily in order to be accepted by an end user, customer, consumer, or stakeholder. Acceptance criteria increases transparency around what is required to complete a piece of work for someone's satisfaction. I agree. Sounds good. In this first part, though, he says acceptance criteria is optional. I believe that without acceptance criteria, you're setting yourself up for failure. So to be quite honest, outside of that, I think this is a perfect definition for acceptance criteria, but I definitely think that you still need acceptance criteria there at the backlog item level. Now, definition of done is positively part of Scrum. It's the commitment to the increment and provides a full description of the state of the increment when it meets the quality measures required for the product. A definition of done increases transparency by providing a shared understanding of what work was completed to a minimum level of quality. And I think that makes sense. It works. But I think that it's still a loose definition of done. It's not very visual for some people. So let's hope the example that he gives is visual. So in the example, he says, if we ran a bakery, I can live with that. Let's do it. Our product is baked goods that are sold in our shop to passing customers. Okay, sounds good. We have 2 items to create that are currently in our product backlog. Each one has acceptance criteria defined to help us understand aspects of the work needed to be carried out. Here they are. So product number 1 is baguettes. Oh my goodness. I don't know if he could have made this article any more painful for me. I'm not eating any carbs right now. I'm eating very low carb. So now I'm talking about baguettes. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite things in the world. Okay, anyway. So here's the acceptance criteria. Each baguette should be at least 18 inches long and should have a diameter of at least 2 inches. Got it. Each baguette should be cooked for 20 minutes at 220 degrees. Okay, I can live with that. Each baguette should be golden brown all over after cooking. Sounds really good to me. Product number 2 is iced cinnamon buns. So it's iced buns. And the acceptance criteria here is that at least 5 inches long and 3 inches high for each bun. They're cooked for a minimum of 15 minutes at 200 degrees. Making sure they're ready. And the icing covers 80% of the top of the bun, and that each bun should have a cherry on top. Wow, that's pretty cool. So acceptance criteria in this case are at the micro level. It's unique and specific to each individual product backlog item. The criteria here would ensure we have understood the work for each item and that we've met someone's needs with the completed work. So for me, I always say acceptance criteria should be given when then. Given that we want the bun to be a specific size, when we bake it, then it should be at least 5 inches long and 3 inches high. That's a given when then statement, right? So we could use the Gherkin model in order to figure these things out, so plug easily into whatever tool we're using so we can automate some of this acceptance criteria. Now, I think we got the acceptance criteria piece down. Let's talk about the definition of done. So the definition of done in this case should apply to both items before they would be considered as part of the increment that we put for sale to our customers. So in this case, this is their example for definition of done. And I like it. I'll tell you that ahead of time. Definition of done. Bullet point. All ingredients used are fresh, no processed ingredients. Number 2, the kitchen is clean at the time of preparation. Number three, the product has been visually inspected after cooking. It's attractive and defect free. Number four, one product in each batch has passed a taste test before the batch is put out for sale. The definition of done is more at a macro level and it's applied to all the product backlog items before they can be considered as part of the increment. I like it. The criteria here ensures a known level of quality has been reached, regardless of what specific work or what specific item we're talking about. So, in this example, we could see that it doesn't make sense to give a product to a customer that didn't meet the definition of done if it was undercooked or didn't have the right level of frosting or whatever the case may be. An inferior product can mean that we lose the customer, hurt the customer, or get our bakery closed down because of health logic, and we don't want to do that, health reasons, right? Making quality criteria transparent and applying it to all the product increments helps to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So the problem here, though, I love what they got here, but the problem is when people start to create less tangible items like software, it's harder for you to call out a definition of done this way, right? Um, you know, the definition of done is intended to prevent people from slipping, with the overall focus of the increment. But I feel like it almost begs for the acceptance criteria to encapsulate so that you can make sure you achieve the definition of done. So I think one feeds into the other. It's kind of like a vision and a strategy, right? I would argue that you probably need both in order to be successful. But the one thing that I do know is that if you follow these guidelines and that if you look at the definition of done as a tool, that you can probably lean on it quite a bit and get great value out of it. Now, one of the things that I challenge my teams to do is to ask challenging questions like, who's using our tool now? Who gets value out of the tool? Who's going to be paying for it? Who's going to be maintaining it? And if you answer those questions, it's going to help you create a solid definition of done that can last throughout some time. So I hope you enjoyed this message. As always, we encourage you to visit agiledad.com where you can learn more about this topic and many others. And if you have a topic that you want to hear on a daily stand-up, please reach out right away to Kim, Kim at agiledad.com. We would love to hear from you. Thanks a bunch. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Do take care.